Thank you so much for joining this webinar that we're doing with Avantio. My name's Ritchie, I'm from PriceLabs. Few quick things before we get started. If you're not dialed in, be sure to dial in so that you can hear us. Remember that we can't hear you guys. Second, we'll be recording the webinar for future access, so don't worry about it if you have to leave in between or whatever. Lastly, this is going to be an open Q&A kind of a webinar. So remember to submit your questions. You'll see a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And then if you have, we'll be covering trends, we'll be answering generic questions. If you have any specific questions that are for a location or for a specific account, do send it to us at support@pricelabs.co. With that, quick introductions. We have Paul Castro, who heads business development, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with him from Avantio. We have Anurag Verma, who's a co-founder at PriceLabs and is all things revenue management. And then we have Fausto Silva, who heads BD for PriceLabs out of Europe, and he's based out of Portugal. And myself, I'm a co-founder at PriceLabs, and my name's Ritchie. Quickly, the agenda for today, we're going to hear a little bit of remarks from Paul. Then Anurag has prepared a presentation which would take us about 10 minutes, and we'll go through booking trends that we're seeing in Europe. Then we'll open it up for an open Q&A session. And lastly, for those of you who are not familiar with PriceLabs and are interested in learning more about it, we'll do a demo at the end for about 3 to 5 minutes. Altogether, right now, there are close to 100 plus people who have joined this webinar. We had originally scheduled it for 30 minutes, but we will keep the lines open for about 45 minutes or so. With that, I'd love to pass this back to Paul. Paul?
Yes, thank you, Ritchie. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Castro. So yeah, as Ritchie was introducing, well, I'm head of business development in Avantio, but for Europe. It's important to underline it. I'm very glad to be here today. I hope everybody is fine and healthy at home in this time that are pretty sad and pretty bad. But we're very happy to use this time to do some webinars and e-trainings online and try to provide to our customers the most of it and the most of our products and collaboration. Today with you guys, with PriceLabs, which is a very strong partner of Avantio. So we are very happy that we're doing this webinar today with you guys. We're collaborating about two and a half years now with PriceLabs, and I have to say that it's a partner with which we have like a mostly 100% satisfaction, or if it's not a 99% satisfaction. Customers give us a very good feedback on the use of the tool, a revenue management tool, 100% adapted to the vacation rental industry, and we have many customers using it already for sure, and many of our customers that are not using PriceLab yet. And I think it's pretty interesting to do this webinar today, just for the one that are using PriceLabs now to improve the use of it, and the one that don't use it to discover it. Every crisis, as the one we're living now, has a part of opportunity on it, even if it's quite sad what we're living now. The opportunity is taking time to discover new tool and new partner that can help you out to improve your business when we will recover activity, and I hope it's going to happen as soon as possible. So yeah, PriceLab is a very strong partner that will be important for this recovery of the activity, because it will help you to improve and manage your rates and also your occupancy rules. It's very powerful, and it will give you, to all of us, a huge satisfaction. So I will give the word to Anurag now for the booking trends analysis. Just be very attentive. It's a very nice webinar, and I'm sure it will help you out, to all of you, to improve your business soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen now. Give me 1 minute. All right. So, hi everyone. This is Anurag from PriceLabs. What I want to cover in the next 10 to 15 minutes is very quickly go over some of the trends that we are seeing in the booking data. And these are to help understand two things. One is how much has the market been impacted and how to look for some signs of recovery. And then the second one is, given that there has been such a deep impact on the vacation rental industry, what can be done to in these times to still be able to make the most out of it, in the sense that we all have businesses that you're running. How can you make sure that you can get whatever bookings there are that are coming in? And in most markets we are seeing like the volume has dropped, but there are some bookings that are coming in. So with that in mind, what we have prepared is a small 4 or 5 slides with this is real booking data from all of Europe, across all countries in Europe. After this presentation, I'll quickly also show some tools we have developed where you can go and check data for your own country almost right away. And then we are also developing some tools to be able to better be able to track smaller areas or neighborhoods that you might be more interested in. So with that in mind, across Europe, our reservation data from the bookings that happen through PriceLabs is showing that new bookings compared to a month or a month and a half back are about 85% down. But two stronger trends we are seeing is one, length of stay is up 2x, and we'll go deeper into this. And then the second one is that the booking lead time has been shrinking, which makes sense. So as we look at more data on this, you'll see why that's happening. I mean, the answer is almost obvious, but we'll see exactly what is happening here. So with that in mind, the first trend that we wanted to share, which I think is true for most of us, and I didn't need to share it, you probably already knew this, that compared to early February, bookings are down, new bookings are down almost 85%. So, and this is, it was earlier happening in certain markets, now it is happening in almost every market around the world, and of course in Europe as well. Now, given that the situation is so stark, what we wanted to then try and understand was, if these bookings are still happening, there are still a few bookings happening. If your market is open, if your province or your country hasn't yet completely put a stop on vacation rentals, is there something you can do to attract these few bookings, which will help you get through this current time a little better? And on that front, what we did was we tried to find what kind of trends have changed. And there were two big things that came up. Although the total volume of bookings has really come down, if you only filter out bookings that are 15 to 21 days in stay length, 22 to 30, and then 31 to 60. Anything above 60, we are not calling it short or mid-term rental anymore. That becomes almost like a long-term rental. So we have excluded those. And anything less than 15, we are saying we have already seen the total volume has gone down. But if you only focus on 15 to 60 day rentals, those bookings have actually gone up. And they were a fairly small portion of bookings earlier, and that portion has been going up fairly significantly. So if you are still open for business, if you're still looking to take some guess while trying to be as safe as possible and having the correct operating procedures and cleaning procedures, this is something very important to look for, that the number of new bookings for longer stays has increased. It is also helpful that these longer bookings will require fewer cleaning. So your crew is not going to be, your cleaning people are not going to be as exposed as if these were a lot of short bookings. So this is very important to notice. We'll have some action items based on this data later on. The second big trend that we are seeing is, this chart is exactly the same chart as this one, where each date on the x-axis is a date of booking. So here you're seeing how many bookings came on February 9th, and in comparison, how many bookings came on on March 28th, for example. Now this chart is exactly the same chart, But what we have done is we have broken it up by lead time. So lead time, most of you would know, but I'll give a quick definition. Lead time is when somebody makes a booking for a stay in future, what's the difference between today, when the booking was made, and the date when the stay starts. So you will see that till a month and a half back, this pink was fairly large. A lot of people were booking stays probably for their summer vacation that were 2 to 6 months away. A lot of people were booking stays that were much closer in, 31 to 60, 15 to 30 was also pretty strong. So this is essentially people booking their summer vacations or people making future plans for travel. What's happening now is most of these future bookings that were happening have completely disappeared. What this means is you're probably not getting new summer bookings anymore. A lot of people might still have bookings for the summer, but that's probably because people haven't started canceling those yet. We don't know when this will end, so we'll have to wait and watch. But for now, what we are seeing is people, for the most part, have not started canceling summer bookings yet, but people are not making summer bookings. What people are, those few bookings that are coming in, it looks like there is a lot of bookings that are same day, that's the gray here. And then there are a lot of bookings that are within the next week, that's the light blue here. So two big trends out of this are, one, the longer bookings are still coming in, and then those bookings are very, very last minute. What we are calling this is, and the reason might be different based on different location, but the bookings that are coming in right now are essential and immediate travel needs. So these are not tourists who are flying in. Nobody is flying right now. These are not people from a different country who are coming to for a vacation, or they are not even people from a different region in your country, for all you know. These are people who, for various reasons, for professional reasons, for medical reasons, need a place to stay right away, and they need it not for 2-3 days, they need it for a little longer. Now, when that's happening, you also need to realize that because there have been so many cancellations and because people aren't booking future stays, most calendars are going to be very open, very empty. And so there is a lot of supply out there, which is in some ways, especially for medical professionals, a good thing. They're able to find places they need to stay while doing their duties. But to attract those, you might want to look into a few things. One is go very aggressive with length of stay discounts. And there is a very nice, in Avantio, you can put in discounts based on length of stay that can be tailored to a certain booking period. So you don't need to do it for your entire calendar for summer or for fall, where we don't know what the demand is going to look like or how much the market will recover. But what you can do is, given that most bookings are only happening in the next 2 months, in the next week, and maybe a little more, you can try and target those months with an aggressive length of stay discounts to try and get these longer bookings to at least cover some of your costs. The second thing is last minute discounts. One of those, this is something where PriceLabs can be a little more helpful, where you can set discounts, and we have developed a feature or a setting called coronavirus, where based on how occupied your listing is, it will make the discounts more aggressive or less aggressive. So you can turn on the setting, and if your calendar is completely empty, it will try and give a very deep discount for the next 15 days, a slightly lesser discount after that, and even lesser discount. And it goes up to 2 months, because right now we are saying up to 2 months is when the demand is going to be very weak. We don't know what will happen after. But what it will also do is, if a lot of people start booking when the market starts bouncing back, it will automatically raise the prices back up when your calendar starts filling up. So be very mindful. If you're already using PriceLabs, I would highly encourage looking into that. The third is flexible cancellation policy, and this directly ties into this chart, where it's breaking up what future dates are people booking for. Nobody's booking for next summer because nobody knows if they will be able to travel in the summer, in July and August. But the few people that are booking are probably going to book places that allow for very flexible cancellation policies, because nobody today, new guests don't want to book a stay where they don't know eventually if they'll be able to travel or not. So if you offer better cancellation policies, those might help try and get some bookings and some cash flow in the bank. And then the last one is fewer restrictions, where we are saying minimum length of stay. I know there are different places that work differently. In a lot of cases, in the summer, you want to have 7-night bookings, and summer is far away, enough far away that you can still keep it. But if it is last minute, you should, we highly recommend putting in a very, as low as you can get, maybe 2 days or 3 days, or if you can go 1 day, that's fine as well, to try and attract these last minute guests, because you know that even if they book a short stay, because they're only booking for same day or a few days from now, these bookings will get over. So your calendar will be open again for longer stays. Now, with that, I wanted to share some additional resources. The data we looked at here was coming from bookings made through the PriceLabs platform. So we are fairly confident of its being very good. We have also, but this data is shared at an aggregate level here. It's all Europe. What we have done is we have created a page for everybody to be able to track their own country. So if you go to our landing page and then look at global booking trends, what you'll see here is a map with all the countries that we are showing data for. Unlike the data in my presentation, which was coming from real booking data, this data is coming from scanning the OTAs, but we have looked at most of the trends and they look very similar. So if you want to track how your market is recovering, when people are going to start booking back up, and you don't want to just rely on your own portfolio, you want to be able to scan your markets data as well. You can come here and then you can scroll around, find your country, and you'll see, for example, for France, we are saying new bookings are down a fair bit, about 60% in this case. And this is looking from March 8th. The previous chart I showed was going all the way back to February. So the reduction is going to be a lot starker if we go all the way back. It's also showing for future dates, what's the current occupancy trend looking like? What the red line here shows what dates are people booking for. So again, you'll see here that it's mostly zero after a certain point. There are few people who are booking stays. But then in terms of cancellations, we are seeing cancellations have started coming in France for late May as well. The next two charts are super interesting. They show the same data that we were seeing in a different way, where it's saying how has the lead time of bookings been changing. And again, in this case, I've chosen France. You can choose your own country, for example. But what you'll see here is the lead time. There used to be a lot of bookings that were made 60 to 180 days out. That has been shrinking. More and more bookings are now coming in very, very last minute. So this is where, if you are still open for business, you can look at tweaking your pricing strategies a little bit to be able to attract these last minute bookers. And then the last one is, again, the same length of stay graphs, where we are seeing that these stays that are, in this case, the purple is 14 to 30 day long stays. Those really seem to have increased a lot. They used to be a very small portion of all bookings. Now they have increased a bit. Important thing to note here is, although the portion of these bookings is very small, one 14-day long booking is 14 to 30 day long booking is almost equivalent in number of days booked to 7 to 15 shorter bookings. So this is showing you the number of bookings. In terms of number of days occupied, the portion of longer stays is going to be much higher. So again, if you can use LOS discounts and the right policies to attract whoever is booking now, you might be able to salvage something in this situation. So I highly encourage everyone to go to this page and go look at your own country's data to be able to understand. We'll be updating this every day, so you'll be able to track. So if this starts going back up, it's also going to be an early indicator of, okay, looks like there is some more booking activity happening in our market now. With that, this was more or less the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, like Ritchie said, do email us at support@pricelabs.co, and we'll show you all of, and we'll be able to help you further. Back to you, Ritchie.
Great. Thank you, webinar. Thank you, Anurag. Quick question on two questions that came up on that presentation that I directly want you to address.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is, has the LOS gone up in percentage only, or are you seeing it in absolute numbers?
Right. So in this chart, we are only showing percentages. But if you recall my presentation, and we can share this presentation with everyone, we are actually seeing that this is absolute number of bookings. This is not in terms of percentage. This is saying compared to how many 15 to 60 day bookings used to come in February, now that number itself has become close to double. So it's not in percentages, but I mean, it is also in percentages because shorter bookings have reduced so much, but it is also in absolute terms because longer bookings have actually increased. Does that, if you have a follow-up question on that, yeah, just send it over and we'll be able to see those. Ritchie?
Great. Great. Thank you. The next question that's coming up is, can the data be filtered by local destination? For example, Barcelona only.
Right. So right now, the data that you see here is by country. We are building reporting tools so that, and we are planning, given the situation, we are planning on giving these reports for free, where you can choose an address and you can create a radius around it, and we'll be able to show very similar data for that locality. So it won't even be a city level data, it will be much more localized data. We are expecting that to be rolled out either later in this week or early next week. So for everybody who's in the webinar, whenever that comes up, we can send you a notification to say how to access those free reports for your own area.
Fantastic. Thank you. The next question is from Orlando, and he's asking the OTA data. What are the sources?
So right now, we are looking primarily at Airbnb because it has a much more global coverage to be able to do this. When we do our regular pricing, we look at both Booking and Airbnb, and we are adding Vrbo there as well. But right now, for this data, because we wanted a very global coverage, we have gone with Airbnb. What we have seen generally in terms of our regular pricing product as well, we use multiple sources, but the trends across all these sources seem to be very, very similar. So we have, for example, we compare these future-looking occupancy charts and when they are increasing and decreasing. What we have seen is, if you look at Booking.com or if you look at Vrbo, the height or like the magnitude of this chart might be very different. But when there is a big event coming up that a lot of people are booking for, it will be increased for all of them. So the trends across different OTAs generally are very similar. And the reason for that is most professional managers have a channel manager. So for example, most of you who are on this call use Avantio. And Avantio, regardless of what OTA is, it will show you the same availability and similar price data across. And we are using a lot of that availability data to create these charts. So yeah.
Great, fantastic. So diving into some specific PriceLabs related questions, what is PriceLabs doing to adjust rates for COVID-19 scenario?
So Fausto is also on this call, but I can take this. There are two things that we have done primarily, and they are meant for different types of audience. We have a lot of professional users who really want to control how their pricing strategy looks. For those, what we have done is we have created a new setting that enables them to control how their discounts are going to be during this period. For example, if you go to your customization settings, you can choose, actually you can choose any of these settings, but you can choose the coronavirus setting, and then this shows you on different day ranges for different occupancy percentages, what kind of discount should be put up. So if you're completely empty, in addition to all the market data that we use to come up with recommendations, we'll say, hey, if you're not getting booked and it's less than 15 days away, your occupancy is 0, we'll try to give you a deep discount. Of course, your price will still stay above the minimum price that you have set for the property or for a certain date or holiday, or a season. But we are trying to give discounts, and then as new bookings come in and fill up your calendar, those discounts will disappear. So we have done this. The other things we have done is, for the next 2 months, more or less, we know most holidays, most events are not going to generate any kind of demand. Most events are canceled, and even for most holidays, people will just stay home. So what we have done is we have gone ahead and toned down our event premiums. So usually we would look at, the way we look at events is by saying, hey, in France, it looks like a lot of people, not in France, we look at a very localized level, but we'll say that, hey, it looks like there are a lot of people who are booking these dates. Some holiday or event must be going on, and we'll increase those rates. But now we are saying, okay, given that it's in the next 2 months, the chances of getting booked, because a lot of people will travel, are lesser. The spike here is probably because people booked 2 months back and they haven't canceled yet. They will eventually cancel. So we are toning those event predictions down. And we have also automatically, if you're not a professional user who is very active and you have not turned on any of these, then we'll also have a very aggressive profile that automatically works for you to reduce the prices.
Great, thank you. And a follow-up question to that is, since short-term rentals have single inventory, unlike hotels that have 100 rooms, where do you base the occupancy percent on? Is it average occupancy for the month? What is it?
Right. So we actually have 2 ways of doing this. So one, we call it, let me go do it at a group level. That's a common question we get. So for example, let me find, so I have a group in my account, which I call North Room. And for that group, I have 2 possibilities. I can create a listing occupancy-based adjustment, and I can create a portfolio occupancy-based adjustment. So if you have single units and they are very far apart in different places, and the demand across each of these doesn't really matter, what we do is we look at the next 15 days as a whole and say, out of the next 15 days, if 5 days are booked and 10 days are empty, then your occupancy rate for the next 15 days is going to be 33%. So then you'll fall in this bracket. So it's 0 or 1 on one day. So what we do is we aggregate over multiple days over a booking window. If you have multiple listings in the same location, where you know that, okay, if half my inventory is booked, then I want to increase prices for the remaining, if it is a certain time frame outside in a particular booking window, then you can come and say, I want to enable portfolio occupancy-based adjustments. And then here we have some profiles based on booking window, but you can create your custom profile. And this will apply to all listings that belong to the North Room group. So essentially what you can do is you can say, in the next 4 days, if my occupancy is less than 10% across my group on any particular day, that's probably a very bad sign. I want to be able to discount heavily. If it is 21 to 60 days away, and there is one day that in my entire portfolio is booked more than 70%, I want to start increasing the prices. So there are 2 ways we can do it, and we have flexibility for our users to choose based on how they operate, how to do those. I can quickly show how this is done. So suppose you have 5 listings. If you choose the portfolio occupancy adjustments, then we are going to look at a column and say, across your portfolio, how are you booked, and make an adjustment. If you choose listing level occupancy adjustment, then we'll say, in the next, whatever window you provide, we'll look at one row and say, okay, we are going to count occupancy in this row and apply an adjustment for all of those dates. This is a little more intricate answer, but if you have any more clarifications on this, I'm happy to answer further, or I can send you this link. It goes really deep into providing the answer to this.
Great. Thank you, Anurag. Thank you for the detailed answer. And once again, if you have any detailed questions following up this webinar, do send us an email at support@pricelabs.co, and we'll take them directly there. Also, a reminder, at the bottom of the Zoom link that you, or Zoom screen that you see, there should be a Q&A button. Feel free to ask your questions there so that we can address them quickly. One question that has come up on the data that you presented, Anurag. Is it possible to select by category, like hotels versus villas versus cottages?
So let me go back to that. Right. So in this data right now, we are only showing at least a very aggregated level. What I was talking about you being able to select certain address and a radius around it, and to be able to see the data for that place. There we are planning to have filters for how many bedrooms each a property has. So you'll be able to see, in my area, I only want to see how the future data is looking for 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms. And we can show data for hotels as well, but for hotels, it will be more of price data. It won't be occupancy data because we don't right now have access to that. But what you can see is how are hotels changing their rates, for example. And then for vacation rentals, you'll be able to see what kind of, you can select 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, and see the same charts for your specific area. So we won't probably have a differentiation. I will have to check again, but I don't think we will, at least to start out, between villas and apartments. But it will be impossible to separate it by number of bedrooms.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, maybe I'll throw this question to Fausto, given that you've been a revenue manager, a property manager, and now at PriceLabs. What pricing adjustments can hosts make in PriceLabs to increase their bookings at this time?
Hello all. In terms of pricing adjustments, I would say it depends a little bit on the trends that Anurag mentioned. I will say that you can, for example, for Avantio users, you can select the loss discount option. For my experience talking with some property managers, everyone is giving high discounts at the moment, between 30 to 50% for bookings for more than 2 weeks. Some starting the discounts with bookings for more than 1 week. For last minute bookings, in general terms, everyone is giving a discount, but not so aggressive. A lot of the strategy was focused on bookings for more than 2 weeks.
Great, thank you, Fausto. And a similar question, but not pricing related, perhaps Fausto and Paul, if you could take a stab at it. What can users do outside of pricing? What are you seeing PMs do outside of pricing to generate bookings at this time? Any ideas, tips, tricks there?
Yeah, I know that some property managers started to try to give extra services or doing some partnerships in some markets for guests that want to do the quarantine in an apartment, or they are stuck because they don't have flights. And they have to be 1 or 2 weeks in apartment, so they started to get partnerships, for example, with delivery companies or with the restaurants and grocery stores next to the apartments that are going there and deliver them, for them not to have to go to the street. And doing a lot of information, sharing a lot of information, and helping them as well with some measures. For example, I know that a company that I've talked last week, they were giving extra cleaning services, but with very, very, very specific rules that for people to make them feel more safe in their apartments.
Yeah, I would add that, Paul speaking now, Yeah, we are depending on the localization of the different accommodations and where the company, the property managers are located. As we saw today, the different trends, and there is one big trend is long term, for sure, in mostly in urban area. The property managers are trying to focus on providing long-term rentals. We have the case of people, a lot of people now working from home that need to find a place because they cannot work from home, so they will rent an apartment. All what Fausto just said about different professionals from the that are acting in the crisis now that needs apartments and so on, but mostly long term. We're doing on this consideration a few actions in Avantio about trying to make it easier for our customers to use long-term modules or strategies inside Avantio. But yeah, most of the people, I would say, are trying to get out of this crisis as soon as it will end, and preparing the recovery, which will be the real challenge of the year, no? To how to recover and to get visibility during this meantime of the crisis to get customers when the activity will get back. Ritchie?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And one quick thing, I've just launched a poll that you all should be able to see, just trying to get some sense of where everyone's located, what kind of bookings just this group is seeing. If you could share, that would be fantastic. Great. And with that, next question, perhaps to all of you guys, why use a revenue management solution and why now? Maybe Fausto, you could start.
Yes. Well, I think we all understand that that it's not the moment that a lot of people want to do investments and this kind of thing, but this situation has to stop, and in starting to get better, and the market will start to work again. So at that point, it's where we should use revenue manager, and we should use it now, because when the market starts renting again and bookings come again, no one really knows exactly how the trends will be. And for each market, it will be very difficult to pay attention to all the trends. And what we usually sell and what we know for other years, maybe will not apply this year. So we will really have to focus on the trends on the markets of occupation and ADRs, and doing it manually, it's almost impossible. So I think that there will be a lot of opportunities when the market starts to recover, knowing that, for example, in this summer, probably the domestic market will be a very strong market compared with international in a lot of markets. But I think that at this exact moment, maybe we don't feel that it's really needed. But as soon as the market reactivates a little bit, we will have to be, since first day, with a revenue management tool in place.
Yeah, I can. Yep. Sorry, go for it, Paul.
No, go ahead.
No. So yeah, I mean, the only two things I wanted to add was one, like Fausto said, now that nobody is booking for the summer right now, if summer does, if travel restrictions do get taken away in hopefully a month or 2 months, and things around the world are better that people can travel, we don't know yet how strong that demand is going to be. But whichever way it will be, there will be a compressed timeline for people to be able to book their summer stays if they are booking those. So being able to react quickly at that point will be very useful. And second was, I would say, not just about a pricing system. With any system, anything that you have been thinking of or had interest in exploring but hadn't had the time to, this is probably I mean, if you have time on your hands, a good time to start digging deeper into things that you wanted to find out or understand if this would work long term for your company or not. And not just pricing system, any other system. Do a trial to see, okay, once things have settled down, is this something that will help me or not? Even if you don't want to go invest in new systems, I'm sure there are plenty of features in Avantio that you're not fully aware of. So if you have time, start exploring. Get Avantio team to help you. Paul, I'm making your support teams work a little more here, but yeah, there might be things that you're not explored that maybe are useful in your operations, and this is the time to figure those out.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely we have different partnerships and different tools that are in-house building inside Avantio. But the like answering to your question, Ritchie, I would go like more in a general point of view, starting from a general point of view, like why using a pricing system outside of the COVID-19. In general, I would say that it's exceptional how much results it can give to our customers. I was saying that in the introduction, but I insist because I'm working now about 5 years in Avantio, and we're working with you guys in about 2.5 years, and I've seen a huge difference on many professional property managers that are working with Avantio, starting to use PriceLabs as a revenue management platform. And I see so many times people coming back to us saying it's incredible. I'm very happy, giving me a great result, and that's in normal times, because as you said, we cannot, the property managers cannot follow, as Fausto was saying, they cannot follow the trends every time. It's going very fast, even more in the urban areas, but it's getting a very strong results for all of them, because of not only the price and rates, price managements, but also because of the occupancy rule, as you were saying, Anurag, about the often days in between two booking that also get updated directly in Avantio, and allow, like if you have a minimum stay of 5 days or 3 days, and you have 2 days in between two bookings, it will change the occupancy rules and make available with specific rates. So it can give. We had a customer in one of the European capital, I will not say which one, but that come to me and say, November I had 100% occupancy. First time in my career I see 100% occupancy with you guys in the low period. So generally talking, I mean, PriceLabs today, it's for professional property managers, it's almost a need that will really help you out to save time and to be very effective in defining your pricing. And now talking about the crisis, yeah, it's true that it's a global crisis that never happened in the past. All the analysts are following the evolution of the crisis. You can make your own theories of the evolution. It's very hard to be sure that what's going to happen. It's true there is a huge question mark in terms of how long it will last. If we recover activity before summer, that will be a lot different if we recover activity for sure after summer. So there is big question marks that are going. That's a lot of analysts are giving their theories, and we hope in the optimistic more point of view that we will be able to get an activity recovered before summer. In that case, we were talking about that with Fausto the other day, like some people are going into last minute, lowering the price, other want to raise the pricing. So the different strategy, different people with different way of thinking. And I think the trends of the market will be the real trend to follow, and PriceLab will be able to give that in real time. And it will be a very important tool for a professional to have a good recovery of activity when it will happen.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Just a quick reminder, I still have the poll open. About 40 of you have voted. 75% of the user base is people who have joined on this call are from Spain and Portugal. And just something to note, 70% of you have received a booking in last week, which is quite promising. Anurag, Paul, Fausto, I know this is a very specific question, so I'm just gonna ask it in case you guys know about this and can talk about it live. When we use COVID pricing plan, and I suppose that's in PriceLabs, will the original price be shown together with discounted price in red on our Avantio website?
I see the question is from Frederick. The answer to that is no. In this case, what's going to happen is the price will be discounted within PriceLabs, and that discounted price is sent to Avantio. So Avantio in this case will not know what the original price was. There are other, if you put a discount for whatever LOS in Avantio and not in PriceLabs, then the answer to that is going to be correct. That when somebody tries to book on your Avantio website, they will see both the original price and the discounted price, because in this case, Avantio is applying the discount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing more to add. Exactly, that the answer.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. Guys, once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A box. And with that, there was a question that I'm missing. Yes, is it possible to compare minimum stay rentals in different destinations? For example, 7 days minimum stay booking trends.
We can try doing that. So if I mean the page that we were showing on our landing page where it was showing coronavirus trends by country, those currently don't. But like I said, we are going to make some reports available for free starting either later this week or early next week. And there we will have filters, and we can try, we'll have filters by number of bedrooms and things like that, but we can also see if those length of stay filters can be added. I'm not 100% sure right now. It's still work in progress, but yeah, we can look into this.
Got it.
We can,
Fantastic.
if you have, I mean, I don't know who the question was from, but if you send us the location and the question, we can try digging in our data to find out and get back to you directly.
Got it. Great. And that question was from Ibaya Ruiz. So just send us an email. If there are no more questions, we can hop on to a demo if you guys would like.
Actually, I see one question coming up. Not coming up. I think it's hidden somehow. It's about portfolio occupancy and cancellations. If a cancellation happens, so do you see increase in cancellations because of discounting rates closer in? We haven't seen this generally. Most people, once they book their stay, aren't going back and checking their rates again and again. So the answer I would say to that is no. I don't know if Paul, you have heard anything on that?
No, I agree with you.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would also add, it depends on your cancellation policy too, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Great. Great. If there are no questions, we can hop onto a demo. Those of you who I see about 50% of you use a revenue management solution and 50% don't. So if you did want to use this time, we're going to hop on to a quick 3 to 5 minute demo. Fausto, if you want to take over.
Yeah. Hello guys, give me just a second. I wanted to add one more thing because with the last calls and clients that I had, a lot tell me that it's not maybe it's not the best year to start using new tools, and I think that it's completely the opposite. Okay, just to complement the question that Ritchie sent me a couple of minutes ago. I think that in a year like this, that there are less tourists, the tools hold a difference, all kind of tools. Okay, so in terms of, just if I can, okay. So for the people that don't use PriceLabs, if you want to create a free trial, you can do it on our website and create your free trial here. Okay, you just have to register, and you will have a 1 month free trial that you can use the system and try it out. But if you need any assistance, you can write us through our website or to support@pricelabs.co, and we can help you or schedule a call and help you out with all the implementation process. Okay, so this will be very quickly. Just an example on how to add your property. Is pretty easy. You just select Avantio in this case. Avantio will give you the credentials, and you will see. Let me an example, and you will see here your properties. Okay. Hello. Yeah. So this is an example of some properties. All the properties will come here. Some of this information will be here because it will be imported from Avantio, like the listing ID, the listing name, etc. Some others you will have to complete it. To sync or to start syncing or not the properties, it's pretty easy as well. Everything is very user friendly, and this is just an example. Give me just a second.
I think, yeah, filters are.
Oh, sorry.
Also, if you click on the leftmost icon on
Yeah.
PriceLabs, just reload the page with PriceLabs icon. Yeah, it's a demo account. So and just click go.
Yeah.
Don't select anything. Just click go. Yeah.
Wait a minute, because I'm.
Yeah.
Okay. Done. Okay. So. Just a sec. Okay. So here you have an example of a calendar of a property. Something very important, you can work per listing or you can work in a group level, okay? If you want some more information about it, I can help you with that. But in terms of customization options and the way it works either way, it's the same customization options, okay? So here you will always have a base price and a min price. Usually where our clients start. The base price is the average price that you usually sell your property. Always take into account this is the base rate that will be sent to Avantio, not to the OTAs directly. There's a common question that I have. If it's the base price, if this price is the one that will be in Booking.com or Airbnb, etc., it will not. It will be sent to Avantio. All the configurations that you have in Avantio will be on top of it. Okay. The minimum price is just the price where if the system is working all by yourself, if you don't customize anything and you don't tell them a specific minimum price, it will never drop down of this price, okay? This will be really the minimum. A normal question as well, mainly for markets like Spain, Portugal, etc., the seasons have a high impact. You can create base and minimum prices per season, okay? So in terms of working on the calendar, it's pretty easy. You can work it per month. Okay, you can customize dates if you want to do any customizations on price, on minimum stays, minimum price, etc. You can work with a date specific override. You can see your calendar, your field calendar, and you can see it with a graph as well. Okay. In terms of customizations, you have a lot of customization power in PriceLabs. It will help you create a strategy in terms of prices and minimum stays, and you can create all kinds of options. You have last minute prices if you want to do it, if you want to give a discount or a flat discount or premium, you can do it flat or gradual, okay? You can work the orphan day prices. The orphan days is the gaps that we have between two reservations. You decide what is a last minute or a gap. Everything can be customized by you and adapt to your operation. The same premium or discount, and you can create. You can select your minimum stays. You can do it, for example, if you want to do a weekday versus weekend, a different minimum stay. You have this possibility. You don't have everything that you will create here will be sent to Avantio, and you don't need to do anything there. Okay. You can also create some exceptions or let's say create a better strategy in terms of minimum stay where you can personalize your last minute bookings, only a minimum stay for last minute bookings, different from the one that you have in the, let's say, daily rule, and you can set up far out bookings rules as well. Okay, so an example, imagine that you have a 3-day minimum stay and you want to create a 2-day minimum for the last week, but if you more than 1 month in the future, you want 4 nights, and if you are more than 3 months in the future, you want a 5 nights minimum. So everything, all these rules will be applied automatically. You will not have to do this manually. I'm not sure if you have this kind of rules, if you use it in Avantio, but for the ones that want to have a, let's say, dynamic minimum stay strategy, and with prices applying in some these orphan days or last minute. You can also create your minimum stay rule or your length of stay. You have options of fixed days or, for example, length of gap -1. This is just an example. If you select this situation and you put like between 2 or 3 nights, if you have a 3 nights gap, you will have a minimum stay of 2 or 3 nights, but it will not accept a 1 night minimum. But if you have a gap of 2 nights, it will accept a 1 night or 2 nights minimum. Okay. Some of these options, you have the day of the week prices, check-in and check-out restrictions. I think there's a couple of options here that in Avant you will not be able to see it. You have minimum far-out pricing if you want to create strategy with the fixed pricing as well. For example, I want a fixed price or a percentage of my base price for the weekends or for far-out in the future. You can decide if you use some options that affect your weekends, that differentiates your weekends from the weekdays. You can also select what for you it's a weekend. Okay, maybe you have a 2-night weekend or a 3-night weekend, depending on your strategy. And as Anurag showed you, you have the occupancy range adjustments with all kind of profiles. Sorry. With all kind of profiles, some profiles already here, but you can create your own. Okay, you can customize. Anurag showed you the coronavirus example. Here is the customer seasonal profile. All these customizations can be done per listing, per group, or to your all account. If you only have one rule for all the properties, you can do it once. If you want to create groups of properties, you have this option, or you can do it per listing. Okay, the custom seasonal profile, it's your season. You can create your seasons, define which can give a name, the starting date and ending date, and you can apply with a fixed value or a percentage. Okay. Be careful, don't apply a percentage thinking that it's a fixed value. Hello? Sorry.
Yeah, Fausto, we can hear you. Fausto,
Yeah.
one quick question that's popped up. I understand all these rules sync. Where did the question go? Yeah, someone answered it. I think Anurag answered it already, but the question was, I understand all these rules sync properly with Avantio and hence with the OTAs, and yes, the answer is yes to that question.
Yes.
The rules that you make in PriceLabs, the prices go to Avantio, and from Avantio to all the OTAs.
Yeah, something very important. When you start syncing on PriceLabs, in Avant it will create a relationship. So you will see like a code for your properties, example, rate X92, something like that, and it will be applied to property 1. One thing that is very important is if you're doing the trial, if you start syncing a property between PriceLabs and Avantio, please be careful if you stop syncing it, because if you stop syncing it in PriceLabs, you will have to go to Avantio and create your rate again. Okay, when you start syncing, Avantio starts to control the rate, so the rate that existed already in Avantio, it will disappear. So it's something to be careful when you're doing the trial. If you're trying with one property now and then with another one, because whenever you stop using PriceLabs, you will need to activate again a rate in Avantio. Okay, it's not automatically, it doesn't go and gets the backup. Not sure if there's any more questions.
No, I think that's the end of the webinar. Paul, Anurag, Fausto, any parting thoughts? And Miriam, any parting thoughts before we close the webinar?
Well, if I can say something, just to one more time have the opportunity to express our our solidarity and the fact that we are all obviously partners, customers, software providers, everybody in our industry, and obviously more generally talking in worldwide, but talking about our industry, we all trying to fight and take over this this crisis. And I want to send on behalf of Avantio all the best strengths and words and warm words, I would say, to everybody that was in this webinar today, and see how to use this time to transform sad times in kind of an opportunity. And I think it's not easy to do, and I would say congratulations to everybody, all the professionals that were to this webinar today.
Yeah, I would like to just add, yeah, I mean, things are pretty grim, are pretty much around the world, and we are all hoping for better times soon. But if you have any questions or anything that you think we can help on, do reach out to us. We will try our best to do whatever we can, and hoping that things get better soon for not just our vacation rental industry, but for everybody around the world in general, as people. Yeah.
Great, Fausto.
Yeah, I will also want to thank you and want to share if anyone wants to start the trial and need some help, or even this was a very quick demo. But if someone wants a call and some help, even in Spanish, Portuguese, or English, just send an email and we can schedule the call.
And I see some questions come in, but I think it's pretty late. We can directly reply back over email to the people who have asked those questions, I think.
Yeah, we are also available for sure for any questions that our customer would have in terms of the PriceLabs synchronization with Avantio. We had a few questions about that today that you already answered. But if they have more questions in let's say outside of the synchronization, how it works, there is also on the support on the online support that all our customers have. They have a full description on how PriceLabs works and how you get connected to PriceLabs if they want to know. So it's important also to remind that. And for sure, as always, we are all available to answer the questions by email or by phone if they need any more information. And thank you for this webinar. I wanted to tell you guys, to you, Ritchie, Anurag, and Fausto, thank you very much to PriceLabs for this very efficient and very powerful webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul, for having us. Quick note to all the attendees, there are some questions that are still unanswered from the webinar. We will reach out to you directly over email and answer those, as we are quite behind time right now. And also, we will be sharing a link for the webinar along with the presentation. So rest assured, if you wanted to go through this at a later date or share it with someone, you'd be able to do that. With that, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'll be closing the webinar now. Thank you.
Thank you.